Get started and call to order the regular meeting of September 10th for the Waxhaw Board of Commissioners. If you would, please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. And as we come out of the Pledge of Allegiance in the moment of silence, I'd like to invite everybody to the memorial service tomorrow for Patriot Day. It starts at 8:30 downtown. As far as the agenda, we have been asked to remove item H2, which has to do with our Town of Waxhaw Speed Limit Ordinance. That's due to some modifications that the North Carolina Department of Transportation would like to make, and most likely will come back to us on either the next meeting or the meeting after that. So with that change, I have no of others. Clerk Schuler, are there any additional changes? Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, we have no one signed up for public comments pertaining to items on the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Recognition. Commissioner DeFinis.
It is my great pleasure to discuss the Back to School Bash. And I wanted to take the opportunity to thank so many participants that took part in this event to make it a success. The Waxhaw Police Department, Waxhaw Parks and Rec, the Waxhaw Explorers, Faith Community Church, Five Stones Church, Waxhaw Women's Club, the YMCA, the Parkwood football team. I couldn't have done it without you. The Cuthbertson Cheer Squad, all of our sponsors, volunteers, members of the community that donated their time, talents, and energy towards this wonderful event to give back to the children of Waxhaw. And I would like to call to the front to give my appreciation to the visionaries of this event, Mrs. Janice Truesdale and Ms. Sharon Miller, and I would like to present them with their certificate of appreciation on behalf of the town of Waxhaw.
Next up on recognition, I understand there was a conference up at Appalachian State University this week, and Manager Smith has some news to share with us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Appalachian State Local Government Alumni Association had their annual conference. It's made up of alumni of Appalachian State who are managers, assistant managers, planning directors, and other employees of local government and county government in North Carolina. And we had the distinct honor of recognizing one of Waxhaw's own. Melanie Schuler was the recipient of the Dragan Stefanovich Scholarship Award, and we know that she will use that money wisely to finish that MPA degree in December.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. There's another item of recognition. It's not on the agenda. The board was informed last week that our own assistant to the manager and deputy clerk, Kelly Curry, will be leaving us. She's going to go back home, be with her family. Imagine that. Want to be with your family. Applaud her for that. Kelly came to us April 17th, thereabouts 2017. Hopefully I got that date right. She's leaving 2 years later on 9/18. She's been assistant to the manager, deputy clerk. She formed the Emergency Management Services Department in the middle of a hurricane. She's helped the board on boards and committees and organized and orchestrated things for us. And although she doesn't admit to it, she's also a Seinfeld aficionado. And so with that, as a small token of our appreciation, the board has some parting gifts for you in appreciation. And I first wanted to read the card. Kelly, you've made a great impact on Team Waxhaw during your time with us. Your contributions have been invaluable to our success. You'll go far in your new venture, and we will miss you. I went shopping.
Can I just say, it's just been such an honor and a pleasure to work for Waxhaw. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's a great town, wonderful staff and board, and I will miss everyone so much. Thank you. Thank you.
To you. Okay, next item up, we're into public hearings. First public hearing is public hearing on Valvoline Instant Oil Change Conditional District Rezoning Petition CD 008992-2019. The presenter is Madison Miller. I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Welcome, Madison.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all. So before you, I have another conditional district rezoning request. This is a request by Cuthbertson Road LLC to rezone about an acre parcel located at 2525 Cuthbertson Road. And the purpose of this rezoning is to permit the development of a Valvoline instant oil change. And so here's the site off of Cuthbertson Road, almost at the Cuthbertson Road and NC16 intersection. To the north, you have the shops at Howard's Mill. To the east, the approved Cuthbertson Road medical offices. To the south is the Taco Bell, and then to the west is the Walgreens. And so the current zoning on it now is CU-C3, and the proposed zoning will make it CD-C3. And here's a snapshot of our future land use map. It is currently in the X2 existing commercial area. And the X2 existing commercial area is a designation applied to existing commercial centers along NC16 Parkway and the Parkway, and then also NC16 and Kensington and Cuthbertson roads. And the intent of this future land use designation is to allow this use to basically continue. And so allowed uses and density for this are basically a broad mix of commercial and general service uses. And with this, it is consistent with their future land use plan. And so before you is the proposed preliminary plan. This is Cuthbertson Road here, with NC16 being down here below the Walgreens. It's a proposed building of 2,200 square feet, and I think there will be 7 parking spaces. Along the front is a 20-foot landscape buffer, and it is just a single Valvoline, so there's really not much detail to explain. So like I said, the proposed rezoning will be from CU-C3 to CD-C3, and this is for the Valvoline. So overall, for the landscaping requirements, they will be providing 39 shrubs and 10 trees, and they have agreed to meet all landscaping and buffer requirements, which they do. And then of course the landscaping and buffers, as said before. Vehicular ingress and egress will be provided via one proposed driveway, and this is from a secondary drive located off of Cuthbertson Road. And then of course, I forgot to mention, there will be a 5-foot sidewalk installed along the frontage on Cuthbertson Road. So this is the typical elevations for the Valvoline proposed. They're using a lot of brown brick, red brick, and tan brick, along with the aluminum awnings over the windows and doors, and then a black metal trim at the top above the Valvoline signs. And the intent of this color board is to match that of the shops at Howard's Mill, so it kind of blends in very nicely. And then here is just the rear and right side elevation for viewing. And so, per our ordinance in section 16, they are required to hold a neighborhood meeting before going to planning board. And the neighborhood meeting was hosted by the applicant and took place at Forest Hill Church. It was held on August 5th at 7 p.m. And then no members from the public were in attendance. And then so at our regular planning board meeting or in August, the planning board voted 4-0 to send a favorable recommendation to you all here, along with a 4-0 favorable recommendation for the reasonable and consistency statement. And so staff would recommend approval of the proposed conditional district rezoning. And these will be for a later date, of course, but the motion for this at the end will be to close the public hearing for this notion. And so to mention, it brought to my attention that in the packet, it had mentioned something about conditions being proposed, or 3 conditions. That was incorrectly put into the packet, so there are no conditions proposed yet for the site. And I would like to also state that the applicants and Valvoline are here, and they will like to present a few slides before you. If you would like to come forward.
Just a point of clarity to the board, it was the statement that was in there was on the Board of Commissioners agenda item report at the bottom, where it said the planning board unanimously recommends approval with the 3 conditions at their July meeting. That was in error, and that's stricken.
Hi, Andrew Slattery here. Owned Valvoline for 18 years now. Started first store up in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're expanding quite a bit. I guess what we bring to the town of Waxhaw, we try to get in here for several years now, and basically over about 2,000 or 3,000 of current residents go to our Valvolines in the Charlotte market. So bringing it downhill will help them out, getting to the stores a lot easier. Our mission is quick, easy, trusted, preventive maintenance. 250,000 customers surveyed, score 4.6 satisfaction score. Truly a positive impact. Generally when you hear oil, you hear, oh boy, this is messy. Love for anyone to come in one of our stores. It is clean. Our containment systems are great. We try partner with the communities. Actually, this afternoon, I just got a sponsorship with Cuthbertson High School to sponsor the baseball team for the next 5 years. So immediately before even getting in here, we're trying to get involved with the town. That's a big thing for us. Probably employ 12 to 15 employees. I know about 5 or 6 of our major upper end management team lives in Waxhaw, so they're pretty excited about it too. Just to go through this a little bit, there's no in-ground storage tanks. Everything's contained in the bottom lower basement. Minimal energy and water. Exterior lighting's all LED, doesn't go out into the streets or anything. It's contained inside of our facilities, our property. There's a full basement, as we just touched on before. We keep the water in. It's not trying to let it get out. So everything that comes into that building is contained and either vacuumed up or secured. The compressor, there's no outside noise. Professionally maintained landscape irrigation's always, the stores look great. The way we do business, we are open from generally 8 a.m. Monday through Friday to 7 p.m. Saturdays 9 to 6, and depending on the market, we sometimes open up on Sundays due to the demand, really. Drive-through service with no appointments needed, so you're in and out very quickly. All services are performed inside the building, nothing happens on the outside. Low traffic volume, I think we see about one car every 15 minutes throughout the day, so we're not adding traffic. No overnight parking on the site, no outdoor storage, limited delivery schedule during business hours only, no tractor trailers. Delivery vehicles are about 26 feet straight trucks that just deliver oil through a side that go into the tanks in the basement, which is double containment, so it's not going anywhere. We 100% recycle everything that we bring in. A company called Noble Oil picks up for us, and they recycle it 100%. So it's everything we put through there is totally taken care of. All dumpsters match the building. It's actually a brick dumpster with a very nice steel doors. It's not anything that's going to fall apart or look bad. Service takes about 15 minutes. We do all fluids in your car, just to go through that real quick. We do not do any maintenance on cars. We do maintenance. There's no brake services. There's no engine work. There's nothing that's going to keep that car in that bay for hours upon a time and or making loud noises constantly, which means that car's not there overnight out in the parking lots. It's all clean. What makes us different? VIC service different. It's a drive-through service. You stay in your car, your vehicle, the entire visit, which is generally completed in about 15 minutes. Valvoline Car Cam allows you for full transparency. So we're the first out in the industry that is showing you what happens on the top and bottom of your car. So your service is actually getting done. We have nothing to hide. I was actually inventor of that, so that's kind of a great subject for me to talk about. We're friendly certified technicians. They have over 270 hours of training, 18-point check, 7 full-time and three part-time positions upon opening. We generally start out with 8 to 10 new employees at the service center, and within about 6 months, it's up to 14. So currently, we employ about 700 employees in about 500 in North Carolina and about 200 in other states. We take care of our employees, 401k matching benefits full-time employees, hands-on employees assistant program. If someone needs counseling or help, we're there constantly. Relocation opportunities. We're actually relocating a gentleman from the West Coast right now, so that's pretty exciting for us because he has some great leadership. So another thing is huge promotion from within. I have 10 area managers right now. 10 of them started out in the pits. So they came from within and they grew with the company. And a lot of them now have families, homes. It's just really great to see. And these kids were going down the wrong path. And then there's the site, which I think you already went over. You guys have seen that. Pretty much the prototype of what that building's going to look like. We've seen that. And then that's Valvoline's new corporate office in Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you.
Open it up for questions now?
Yeah, sure.
I'll just ask one clarifying question. There's an existing permit on the property, correct? It's the
Yes.
Shops of Howard Mill?
Yeah, so to elaborate a little more, this is an out parcel to the original CUP for Shops at Howard's Mill, which was approved back in 2004. And so back in 2015, I believe an automotive use tried to come in and amend the CUP to allow automobile service. And so in 2015, it was denied. And so with this one, we're doing a CD rezoning. So rather than modifying the CUP, this rezoning will be strictly to this one parcel. So rather than amending the CUP and allowing all automotive use for all of Shops at Howard's Mill, this will be only allowed for this one parcel. And so it gets to go through the CD process where conditions can be added or not added, and we can kind of sit here before you and right now and show the product. And so we thought this was a more viable option for the applicant.
Questions from the board? Commissioner Burns? Okay. Commissioner Wesley? Mayor Pro Tem? Commissioner Defense?
Yes, did we do a traffic impact analysis with this property since it's near one of our most critical intersections?
We did not. The estimated vehicle traffic for this per day is 35 vehicles, and so it fell way below the threshold for the town and then NCDOT.
Something that we can ask for?
You can ask for anything. I think they said, what, 4 cars an hour, 31
yeah.
31 a day,
whatever,
that would
15
be
minutes.
minimal impact in and out of the property. I'm not sure. I would defer to our engineer, but I'm not sure the value of that would be warranted. But
And just another question regarding the containment tanks.
Yeah.
Are they directly underneath of the building?
So there's a pit inside the building
Okay.
where employees walk down, change oil underneath there, and they're contained in a double wall containment system. So even the tanks are double walled. And then we keep the containment in, we do a barrier around the whole pit itself while it's being built.
Thank you.
okay, with no further questions, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next item, a public hearing on the general rezoning of petition RZ 009-098-2019, a general rezoning map amendment from R1 to R3 on 3.9 acres located on McCall Road. The presenter will be Jeff Wells, and at this time I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening. This request is the Darko Edo request at 7812 McCall Road. It is a general rezoning, and the request is from single-family residential R1 to single-family residential R3. The property is approximately 3.9 acres, and it's located west of Waxhaw Marvin Road. And you see here on the map, the property right here in center highlighted by red. Waxhaw Marvin Road is to the east of the property. Millbridge Phase 5 is directly north of the property. Millbridge Phase 3 is to the southern part of the property. There's an area, it is one of our donut hole areas that we've recently had a lot of discussions about. That area is zoned RA20 within the county with minimum lot areas of 20,000 square feet, or roughly half an acre, which is consistent with the R3 that the applicant is asking for as part of this request. So the aerial photo of the property, you can see that McCall Road, there are single-family residences along there in the parcels. It is primarily wooded. To the north is the Phase 5 of Millbridge that's currently building out. Phase 3 below here, which is a bit higher density, is pretty much already built out. And then there are larger parcels along the roadway there with just individual single-family residential uses primarily. Then this is a larger scale map of the zoning districts that are around the property. Of course, you have the conditional district R4 planned residential development that encircles the McCall Road area. That all is Millbridge. To the east of the property, you have an R3 area which adjoins the property there at the corner. There is also an R2 district there directly to the east of it, and then again the county parcels that surround it at RA 20. Future land use map wise, the property shows that
One second. Hey, Matt, could you check? We're getting some kind of interference out here, some tapping on a microphone.
this better,
I don't,
maybe?
yeah, that is better.
Okay. So this is in the intended growth sector according to our future land use plan. The purpose is this designation is intended to be applied to areas that have ready access to transportation and utility infrastructure that can support larger scale and more intensive urban development patterns. The designation provides for a mixture of housing types set in a walkable neighborhood.
Too close to the mic.
Never been told I've been too close to the mic. Yeah. We'll scoot back. Yeah, till tonight. The proposed zoning is R3, single-family residential. The purpose of the R3 single-family residential district is to provide for the residential use of land developed in a medium-density pattern. The principal structure of the R3 zoning district is the single-family detached dwelling. And in fact, the comparison of both the R1 and the R3, they are both almost exclusively similar to each other. The primary use is the single-family residence. Every single use that is allowed in R1 and R3, they're the same. Really, the primary difference is just the lot area. As you see here on the table, R3 allows for a 20,000 square foot lot. That's roughly a half an acre. And then the R1, which is currently zoned, is 100,000 square feet. That is roughly about 2 1/3 acres. So right now, they would be able to only have one house on the property. Theoretically, they would be able to subdivide the property with R3 for a few more lots. Staff recommends approval of the proposed general rezoning request from R1 to R3, and this is based on the comprehensive plan and future land use map. The Planning Board unanimously recommended approval of the general rezoning request at their August meeting. So the board options at their decision, which would be in 2 weeks, would be a motion to approve the rezoning request as presented, or a motion to deny as presented, as well as the motion for reasonableness and consistency. And staff believes the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future planning goals of the town of Waxhaw, and is reasonable and in the public interest, as it will provide a single-family residential density consistent with G3 intended growth sector residential mixed designation as recommended by the Waxhaw Comprehensive Plan and Comprehensive Plan Policy Bridge. The board's other option would be the zoning request is not consistent with the comprehensive plan and future planning goals of the town of Waxhaw and is not reasonable and in the public interest with whatever reasoning. So I thank you very much. I'll certainly be happy to answer any questions, and I did see the applicants walk in too as well, if you had any questions of them.
All right, we'll start up here. Could you go back to the current zoning picture? Off of McCall Road going into Millbridge, that gray pathway, for lack of a better way to say it, go down through Millbridge.
Oh.
There. Is that an easement of some kind, or is that a planned connection of some kind? What is that?
It used to be a planned connection, but it will not happen because there's a house sitting right there in the way.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
Okay. Commissioner Burns?
The difference between R1 and R3, and you said one house with R1, so what is the expectation? Give or take the setbacks in the roads, how many under R3?
Well, it's a 3.9 acre piece of property, so they would have, the minimum lot area would be 20,000 square feet, but the reality of the lot is I don't believe that would be possible. I think their best bet, if they wanted to subdivide, they would have to, number one, put in a small road, probably shooting across the eastern section up northeast to that. They'd have to subdivide off of a road. Probably could get maybe 3 lots with the way the dimensional requirements work.
Thank you.
Commissioner Westlake.
That was kind of going to be my question. So I know the McCall Road is very rough and almost like a gravel road. So, and that's the access road they would be using to get to this property. Is there any type of road improvements that would be included in this?
There is not for this request.
Mayor Pro Tem. Any questions? Commissioner Lee?
I do have one question. You said the staff recommends this, so what is the value added to the town of Waxhaw that you see in allowing this?
Well, I believe it would make it more consistent with what the surrounding density is. As I mentioned before, currently in the county, the area that's in gray that surrounds it, it is zoned for that same density that's equivalent to R3 within the town of Waxhaw. It's zoned RA20. They allow for 20,000 square foot lot, single family residential type development. That's also what is to the east of it. And of course, Millbridge is a whole different animal and a bit denser than the remainder of it. But it just feels like to me that it's an outlier out there with an extremely low density compared to everything else that's surrounding it.
Commissioner DeVinnis?
Questions?
Follow-up question. So McCall Road, whatever comes forward would go through a planning process of which technical review, volunteer fire department, and emergency, the police department would review it, and if they place a requirement for access to that to provide emergency services, that would be something that would get incorporated, and we'd have to work with Union County since this is kind of a donut hole thing, right?
That's correct, yes.
And I just point that out, that this is multi-jurisdictional here, and it's going to, whatever gets planned will have to require some cooperation across, not only with us, but with the county.
It's a strange parcel, no doubt, to be there on its own.
Okay. Any further questions? Does the applicant wish to add anything at all? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Jeff. But don't go too far. Because up next is a public hearing for voluntary annexation petition 18-223. A request for annexation has been submitted by the Howie family for a number of parcels totaling 91.997 acres. Jeff? I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the request from the Howie family for voluntary annexation of their property. The request is for approximately 91 acres into the town limits. The current Union County zoning district for the property is R20. The property is completely surrounded by the town limits, creating again a donut hole that has been in place for years, and this annexation would remedy the largest donut hole within the town's growth area. Upon annexation, the property would generate tax revenue for the town based on the county's valuation of the site and the town's current tax rate. So here's an aerial of the entire property. The boundaries you see along Highway 16. This is where everybody sees the barn and then the house there that's along Highway 16. There is some open area
I
around.
thought they saw an NC State shed first.
Yeah. And of course, you see the open field immediately around that, and then as you get deeper back into the site to the north and all the way through the center and south of it is primarily wooded until you get to another smaller open area, which is adjacent to Waxhaw Marvin Road. That is the entirety of the Howie parcel. So the zoning map gives you a little bit better idea of the specific donut hole. Again, the property is highlighted in blue This area here in green is a part of the Howie parcels, but it currently is in the town limits. And so the request for annexation is the area that's in white here that is not within the town limits. As you see directly to the north, we have a commercial zoning, C3. RM1 is to the west. NMX is also to the west, west and south. UN urban neighborhood is to the east and southeast there. And again, this is R3 with town center along the frontage of NC 16. And again, the county has it zoned as R20, which is a single-family residential district that allows single-family detached and duplexes. This is the actual annexation plat here. Again, the entirety of the property, the area that's darkened here is currently within the town limits, with the remainder of the area would be the area for consideration of annexation. I'll certainly be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
My understanding is Mr. Howie would like to share a few words.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me time to speak on this annexation request. I'm Jim Howie, and I live at 501 North Broad Street here in Waxhaw. I'm speaking for all the requests that my family and I have put forward. Our family has been part of this community since the mid-1800s and plan to continue to be a part of it. We have and continue to want to see Waxhaw grow and flourish. As we move into the next phase of our lives, we feel that it's best for this property to be in the city limits so it can truly blend in and be an extension of the downtown flavor that Waxhaw has established. Thank you again for your consideration of this annexation request, and we look forward to a favorable vote in the affirmative. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Questions from the board? Commissioner Burns?
Can I ask anything?
As it pertains to this, sure.
Will there be a road coming out on the parcel of Waxhaw Marvin Road? Will there be a straight road through from Providence to Waxhaw Marvin? As a cut through, or will there be a thoroughfare, or is it just going to be a neighborhood
Well,
with people who will cut through automatically?
as part of the review, what we would look for would be a road that would be somewhere along NC 16 here, and yes, would traverse the site based on the topography and come out to Waxhaw Marvin Road. For staff, that would be imperative to have a road that would go through there. Now, ideally, we would love to have a stub out here to the west, and we'd also want to try to find a way to get up here to Waxhaw Parkway if we could as well.
So I guess my question is more clarity on, is it going to be connectivity where it's, as we talked about several weeks ago, or is there going to be a planned thoroughfare through there where it would take trucks and all kinds of traffic such as that? See, that's why I asked if I could ask
Yeah.
anything.
How the property develops is premature at this point to discuss. The question is it going to be annexed or not annexed? You want it inside the town of town of Waxhaw, or inside the town, or not inside the town? But that's the sole issue tonight at this public hearing, is its annexation.
Well, I definitely don't.
Development will occur as zoning and subdivision regulations are instituted if it comes into the town.
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions? Commissioner Westlake.
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem McMillan?
So based upon what you just said, the discussion with Commissioner Burns' concern of roadway is something that can be asked at a later date and can be discussed further as the property is developed.
That's correct.
Commissioner Lee?
So correct me if I'm wrong here, the question before us tonight is, do we want to have some say over this enormous parcel right in the heart of our city, or do we want to have no say over the enormous parcel in the heart of our city? That's basically it, right?
I would say that is correct.
Okay, just checking. I know my answer.
Right now, we're just having a hearing, so we'll get to the answers in a minute. Commissioner DeFinis?
I'm good.
Okay. With that, there are no further questions. I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I guess they had to sign up ahead of time, the public.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
For clarity, there's no one signed up
Okay,
to speak for the public hearing.
let's put that in the record.
Thank you for reminding me to say that. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, nobody signed up tonight for anything. So, all right, on to new business, and Jeff's not moving too far. I don't think we need the presentation, but this is the decision on the voluntary annexation petition 18-223, Howie Family Parcels. Mr. Wells, the decision before us is to either approve the voluntary annexation request or deny the voluntary annexation request, correct?
That's correct. The board initiated the annexation process at the August 27th regular meeting. The public hearing was conducted on September 10th, i.e. tonight. The town clerk has verified that the voluntary annexation petition was investigated and is sufficient. So now the board can consider an ordinance to annex the property into the town limits if you so choose. Board options would be to approve the voluntary annexation request 18-223 or deny the voluntary annexation request 18-223. And staff recommends approval of the voluntary annexation request. And I have the maps again. If we have any further questions, just again, that's the entirety of the property there, minus the area on the east, which is within the town. And that area in white is what is the donut hole that is under consideration. And that is the plat that would be recorded at the Register of Deeds if the board approves, as well as sent to the Secretary of State and their Office of Budget and Management, so they can start keeping tabs on the property, and we report new boundary extensions, and as well as the property gets developed, we would report what that is so they can keep up with their census data.
So with that, do we have any further questions, or would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the voluntary annexation request 18-223.
We have a motion to approve the voluntary annexation, and would be the annexation ordinance that's in your packet, number 2019004. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Howie family.
And that's effective immediately.
But and FYI, that is effective immediately. So I know it goes without saying, Jim, because we say this all the time, but now officially, welcome to the town of Waxhaw. Next item up is discussion and possible action on transferring general fund balance to the capital improvement reserve fund. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. Last meeting, your Finance Director, Lisa, gave a presentation on the estimated unassigned fund balance that we anticipate after last year's budget. That well exceeded your unassigned fund balance policy of 30 to 40% that you would like to keep for emergencies within your fund balance. So what my recommendation is to approve that difference, if you recall, from 40% to 50%, approximately $1.2 million, and do a budget amendment to transfer that to a capital reserve account. My hope is that at the next work session, we'll be talking about a capital improvement plan and various projects that you have committed to and you have on your horizon, and and then we can talk about specific projects in which to use that money for, along with some other monies that you have set aside over the past few budget cycles.
Okay. Discussion from the board. Any questions of Mr. Smith?
When is the audit supposed to be due?
The audit is due to the State Treasurer's Office October 31st, and so we should be well ahead of that schedule. And the findings will probably not come back until late November, early December, probably from their office.
Further discussion? Comments, questions, motions?
I would like-
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I would like to make a motion to transfer the $1.2 million into a capital improvement reserve fund.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the budget amendment to transfer $1.2 million to the Capital Improvement Reserve Fund. Any further discussion? Mayor Pro Tem McMillan?
Once the transfer is made, then we will discuss as to how that money will be used at a later date.
Yes.
And the 1.2 million now leaves how much of a percentage which would be left in the fund based upon that? Just for,
The unassigned fund balance would be roughly 40, still 40%.
still for, just for the public's information
Right.
and knowledge?
Right.
Okay.
Any further questions?
No.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So the ayes have it, 5-0. Okay, we have no one signed up for general public comments at this time, so leadership reports. Mr. Smith, do you have anything else to add?
I do not. I just want to echo, I know, I think Kelly has left the building, but echo my congratulations to her as she follows her family back to the coast. I know she has a great support, and Waxhaw will miss her. I will miss her, and I've only known her for a month, but we will carry on and get the business of the people done. But we thank her for her contribution over the last couple of years.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns, any comments?
Nope.
Commissioner Westlake? Mayor Pro Tem?
Just an update that the RFP for the town manager was sent out, and that to date, I don't believe that the Human Resources Department Director has received any questions or information regarding that. We do have a listing of where and all the agencies that it was sent out to, that I can update the board and either send an email form or put it in your mailboxes just for your reference and information.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lee, Commissioner DeFinis? One quick comment, and I know you have one to add. One quick comment to the board. There were some emails today discussing possibly meeting Monday at 9:30 to continue the boards and committees interview process and then make some decisions on placements. Is that workable? So, because we have to get a meeting notice out if that is the case.
Is that the 16th?
The 16th, yep,
9:30 a.m.?
9:30 a.m. Is that okay with everybody? I'll say, okay, so Melody, would you work that out with Kelly then and
Yes, sir.
put it out there and I'll get her signed? Okay, thank you. And obviously, there's something else to talk about.
Hi.
It didn't rain on Dina's parade, jamming at the tracks, and so she's excited.
I am excited. We got one of our concerts in this summer. I was like, yay! And I've got some updates to give you tonight. Again, our Play Waxhaw, please check it out. Our new software is working out great. We have fitness happening in Waxhaw on Saturday mornings. We have 2 different classes. One's with the Y at Town Creek, and then one's under the water tower, water tank area downtown. And then on Tuesdays, we had 8 participants this morning with our Tuesday fitness class as well. So it's a great partnership with the Y. Upcoming tomorrow evening, we've got a parents' evening out, so still room to sign up. Friday evening, we've got Fun with Fido, so there's a family night class. Then next week, we have senior coffee of game day. Oh, my pictures are gone. We've got teen night the following week with partnering with Waxhaw Escapes, and then we're also partnering with Mary O'Neill's chef with the adult Cooking with Jordan. As the mayor mentioned earlier, Patriot Day is tomorrow morning, 8:30 at the Military Wall. We will start promptly at 8:30. We, of course, have the tents and chairs ready and to have a comfy area for us to gather, but please join us tomorrow morning. And then our makeup band night, Jam by Tracks, is on September the 20th. Knock on wood. We're going to have an awesome night that night too, and that'll wrap up our concert series. And just for heads up for this weekend, on Sunday, we're partnering with Five Stones Church. They're doing a service day with us. We are doing some cleanup for Barnes Park, Community Corner, the Annex building, and 12 Mile Creek Nature area, Nature Trail area. So lots of activities will happen on Sunday as well in our lovely town.
So, quick question, do I have it right, is Rotary participating tomorrow with the
Yes, sir. Rotary is,
flag program?
the flags will be back up near the tracks and then also near the Military Wall tomorrow morning. The stubs are already there. They'll be putting up in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. And I just have one slide.
One second.
Oh, okay. Take a one. Just 1 second.
We're going to test you on the town seal.
I could talk about the town seal. I don't really, it's not a requirement for the presentation. I could proceed. We'll see if Matt can pick up the slack. I'll take you back. On August 20th, the Board of Commissioners, the work session, our planning director, Jeff Wells, reviewed the town's 2016 future land use plan. He presented an updated future land use map. This version had depicted what had been identified as mixed-use areas, and we had redrawn them as walkable neighborhood centers. In addition, this growth strategy map recognized employment zones. Those were also called for in the future land use plan of 2016, and that included the downtown employment zone. And this future land use plan review is required in the plan, but it was also work that we did in order to have a clear guiding vision for the updating of the town's land development ordinance. So that was the purpose of our work. In response to that, this growth strategy presentation, the board directed the planning staff to gather public opinion on this update. But rather than present a finished product that you saw to the public, one that they've never seen and have no ownership of, and then ask them to endorse it or reject it, we decided first to elicit their fresh opinions on what they wanted to see in their town and where they wanted to see it. So we would like to follow up on your request to have this public opinion meeting and send out in a promo tomorrow basically what kind of Waxhaw do you want, and asking them to come and share their opinion on the future Waxhaw life in terms of 4 themes: live, work, shop, and play. And so my slide is there just in time. There will be 2 open house meetings. These are going to be of a walk-in, self-guided style where people can just walk in and they can go from station to station, and each one of those stations would have a few different things, whether it's boards of information or interactive maps, and each one of those stations would be would have one of our planning staff there to interact with them, talk with them, guide them through the information or through the exercises that are there. These will be at the Niven Price Building, and the promotion is that's being handled through Haven Creative, and that's going to be on Waxhaw's website, Newsflash, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the Inquirer Journal, and Tri-W News. Now, the first open house, we've decided the best time would be Thursday, September 26th, from 5:30 to 7:30, and the purpose for that is to gather input, and that would be on locally desired growth patterns, and this would be using various displays, surveys, and interactive maps. Again, we want to educate, we want to inform, but we want to gather opinions. And so you'll see that there's information that we'd want to share on current demographic trends, on growth, on local land use patterns, and then we want to collect opinion on the desired land uses. Where do people want to live? What people want to shop, work, play? Do they want to have those opportunities in Waxhaw, more of those opportunities? Where do they want to have those opportunities? And then strategize on how and where Waxhaw should grow. And I say there not grow, but I don't really mean to say that. I mean to say how to manage impending growth. I didn't get a chance to change that slide. Then what we would do is the Open House 2, you'll see the date for that is October 24th. We will have an opportunity to present the findings from Open House 1 to the Town Board on October 22nd, in your meeting then. What that would be, though, is, being that it's 2 days before the Open House 2, we'd be able to preview Open House 2 for you. And Open House 2 would be about reviewing the findings of Open House 1. So this would be reviewing those findings for the public, to say to them, in other words, this is what we heard from you on Open House 1, or for people who weren't able to make Open House 1, this is what we've heard so far. And then we would present the goals that we heard from Open House 1, the strategies, and present some growth scenarios that we were able to ascertain from the first open house. Among the scenarios that we would present would be the growth strategy map that you all have seen, but that wouldn't be all that we would present. It would be what we had heard from them in the previous open house meeting. And then we would gather input from them on the concepts presented, including the growth strategy map, and inform them on next steps. Now, after that, the planning staff would present the public findings with the staff-generated growth strategy map on one side and a comparison of other information that we had gathered from the public. We'd present that to you for consideration and allow you to compare, okay, what are we hearing from the public versus what are things that the staff has put together that was based upon the future land use plan, and talk about next steps. But again, all of this is to help us to develop the land use ordinance. So, that's it.
Any questions?
I do. I have a question. This is mainly just the open house 1 and 2. Is there any plans to put out an interactive comments on the website where people that can't come to the open house, they can ask questions or give an opinion online?
I think it would be possible to do that. I haven't included that in our work so far.
Well, that would bring a opportunity for a lot more residents to participate, I think, if we do that.
Pro Tem?
In sending out the information and disseminating it to the public, are you also looking to ensure that some of the neighborhoods where you were planning or looking to put the little areas, the little target areas, that they would be contacted directly, or that they would get that information?
Well, our assumption in these open houses is that this is to gather information. This isn't to say, we have a plan, we want you to come look at it. Perhaps with the second open house, it would be targeted that way because we would have a definite plan, but we don't know that yet. At this point, it is, we're not approaching the populace and saying, we've targeted these areas.
So based upon what you showed us before in the maps and how you were going to have certain pockets in places, little small sections, so you're not going to show that originally?
No.
So you're going to do that possibly at the second open house, but not at the first open house?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
I would just encourage all the citizens to come and say what you want for your Waxhaw. So this is your opportunity, and we want to hear from you.
I applaud you. I think this is fantastic. I think you pulled together a lot of work so we could have an initial discussion with the county, which was necessary. But as they're progressing over the next year and a half, so are we. And to take that pause and ask for input on what you'd like to see, and not assuming that we have anything right at this moment, I think that's terrific. I applaud you.
I'm glad you're pleased.
Well, we're glad we caught that. Thank you very much. All right, and at this point in time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.